Good evening and welcome back to 31 Horror Nights. It's October 11th and tonight's movie is The Nightingale. I think I talked about the Babadook so much yesterday that I summoned this movie because it was directed by the same person, Jennifer Kent. That's the reason why I put it on the docket. I love the Babadook and I wanted to see what other movies she made, and I found that she made another one in 2018. It's not a true horror movie, it's apparently more of a psychological thriller, but I think it will fit in just fine, especially considering this director. The Babadook was incredible. It was creative, it was scary, it was psychological, and it featured one of the best acting performances I've ever seen in anything. This is a lot like Midsummer from earlier this month, where I'm going into it with big expectations considering who the director is. The Nightingale seems to be a revenge tale about this young woman. This is happening in the 1800s, I believe, in Tasmania, and she's trying to get revenge on these people that I think killed her family. One thing I noticed with the trailer is that this has a very, very squished aspect ratio. This is 4:3, even more narrow than that. This was made in 2018, may I remind you, so those types of aspect ratios were pretty much phased out by then, so it had to have been a stylistic choice, and I've seen this happen once before. In the first Horror Nights, I watched the movie The Witch, and that one, it had a very cramped aspect ratio, and I think that was supposed to, emphasize how uncomfortable the living situation was. And this movie doesn't look like a cakewalk either. I'm looking forward to this one. I know the director is capable of incredible things, and I've heard nothing but good things about this movie, so I'm excited. I'm gonna go check it out. Okay, I'm gonna give The Nightingale a 6 out of 10. I would file it under technically very well done, but still hard to watch. This is a brutal movie. The Nightingale is a lot like 12 Years a Slave in the fact that it doesn't shy away from showing you the uglier aspects of a very bad time in human history. The main character of this movie is Claire, a young Irish woman who used to be a prisoner, but now is living in sort of free, but kept on a short leash by this military lieutenant in Tasmania. And after a particularly bad altercation with the lieutenant and his goons murder her husband, murder her child, and rape her twice. As I've already said, this is not for the faint of heart. The two main characters in this movie are Claire and an Aboriginal man named Billy. I assume that's not his real name. And he's kind of helping her as a tracker. They start out not liking each other at all. They're both just doing this because they have to. Though I do like the story arc that their relationship takes throughout the movie. It's not even they fall in love or they become best friends, but they start out disliking each other and then they form a respect for each other and work together. I would also like to say that across the board, the acting in this movie is great. It's dramatic, it's intense, it's believable, it all really works with building the setting. I think more than anything, I would consider this movie to be a period drama, but there are some psychological aspects to it, as well as aspects of suspense. But I think the main flaw of this movie is that, as well as it is, created and written and acted, the content makes it hard to watch. You see women get raped, you see children get killed, you see white men killing Aboriginal men for no particular reason at all. It's all very intense and difficult to sit through, but I understand why this movie exists. It's sort of like why 12 Years a Slave exists. This raw, real type of thing needs to be shown without any sugarcoating. It is kind of unfair to compare this movie to The Babadook, not only because it's not nearly as good, but it's also not even really in the same genre, but I do think that The Babadook is a lot better. Still, The Nightingale is a movie that is very good, even though I don't ever really want to see it again. Now I want to go into some spoilers. One thing that this movie did that I think was very good was that in a lot of revenge stories, it acknowledges that revenge isn't fulfilling, but they sort of have the character have everything taken away from them and suddenly they turn into this cold, heartless killing machine. And that's not how that works. In this movie, she gets so angry at these people and she has everything in her life taken away from her. But when she gets to the point where the man that killed her baby right in front of her is completely helpless, she can't kill him. She can't shoot him. At first, at least. Then she actually gets a knife and stabs him a bunch of times. But once it's over, she's completely shell-shocked by it. She's traumatized. And you see the effect that it has on her later, because one thing this movie does do that the Babadook did very well was that it shows the dreams of the main character. And the dreams started out with just, like, her husband and her baby being dead. But then later on, it starts to also show that soldier that she killed. His death was haunting her just as much as the deaths of her loved ones. I'm not exactly crazy about the ending of this movie, though. When she finally catches up to that lieutenant and, confronts him, it's more, she doesn't kill him, it's more like a talking down to, and there's, like, the movie makes it seem like it kind of helped, but it also kind of didn't help, like, because she's not, like, satisfied. She's still very, very broken up about the whole thing. And eventually, it's Billy that kills him and the other soldier that was left. And in the process, he gets shot. And the last part of the movie is both of them going to the beach and watching the sunrise. And I guess that's supposed to symbolize a new beginning. But this really is starting from zero, because she had her husband, her home, her baby, and now her new friend with Billy. They're all gone. So she's really starting from zero now. Overall, I think I respect The Nightingale more than I actually like it, because even though there were good things in it, there were also things that didn't make it enjoyable or entertaining at all to watch. And I know that the movie's job isn't purely to entertain, but you can have fun with some horror movies. You could have fun with The Babadook, and you can't really have that much fun with The Nightingale. In my opinion, this is a movie that you see once and then admire from a distance. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next review.